3D platformers have it all. You explore various worlds, complete platforming challenges, and fight a horrible camera. Here are the top 10 free 3D platformers on Itchio you don't know about. Sonic Revert is a Sonic R-inspired racing game where you complete fast-paced levels. The game surprised me with how faithful it was to Sonic's moveset and movement feel. You can perform iconic moves like the spin dash, which allow you to shoot yourself in a direction. It allows for a lot of freedom in the movement and is great for recovering from mistakes. The game only has 4 levels, but each of them are wonderfully designed, having a variety of themes, multiple paths to take, and new mechanics in each. The levels are all designed around speed, you know, the best part about Sonic games, but have some platforming challenges to add some variety. The roller coaster-like levels have you running and jumping between walls, ceilings, going through loop-de-loops, and flying off ramps. There are multiple environmental elements from Sonic games as well, like speed boosters, different enemies, bounce pads, and rings. Rings can be collected and then used to give yourself a speed boost. If you're looking for an amazing Sonic fan game all about going fast, then I recommend Sonic Revert. Pebble is a cute 3D platformer where you play as a Pebble in search of his parents. The Pebble is able to move certain objects to assist him in his platforming adventure. The catch is that you can only move objects if you have enough green stones. Green stones are collected by completing a platforming challenge. This turns the game into an environmental puzzle platformer because you'll see that there are several objects you can move but have to find out which order to move them in with your limited amount of stones. You can remove the stones from an object you already moved to use somewhere else, returning the object to its original position. The level design is perfect because of this, as you have to have a certain amount of green stones to move different objects. Each distinct area adds something new, like disappearing platforms, moving platforms, and saws, for example. If you're looking for a cute environmental puzzle platformer, then I recommend Pebble. Oops No Brakes is a top-down obstacle course game where you complete levels with cars that don't have brakes. Even though you're controlling a car, it controls more like a platformer. There are 3 different worlds in the game with obstacles like ramps, moving platforms, and speed boosters. The car is controlled with your mouse and you only have control over its turning. That sounds easy, but you'll die a lot as the level design is very challenging. You play as different vehicles depending on the level, like a weighty truck or a zippy race car. In each level, there are 3 coins to collect if you want to give yourself an extra challenge. It's extremely addicting as every death gives you that one more try feeling. I just wish the game auto-respawned you instead of having to click retry every time. If you're looking for a unique car platformer with obstacle course level design, then I recommend Oops No Brakes. Yo, Noid Was Ahead of Its Time is a retro-style 3D platformer where you play as Noid from the Domino's pizza ads. If you don't know who Noid is, then the game will introduce you to him through a very disturbing intro video. Once you complete the opening level, you unlock a yo-yo which you can use to swing around and latch onto things to interact with them. Noid will automatically grab ledges and wall runs, so the controls are fairly simple, but the level design is deceptively complex, having you chain together multiple moves at times. Around levels, there are keys you have to find to unlock a door to the next area. There's puzzles integrated into the platforming to help break up the gameplay, with the last level being an entire platforming puzzle. If you're looking for a mascot platformer or just love Domino's Pizza, then I recommend Yo, Noid Was Ahead of Its Time. Peeb Adventures is a comedic adventure game where Peeb has to escape the code of his game after being banished. You play as this very odd-looking character who has a dedicated boner button.
Boner.
Apart from that, he has a grapple ability that allows you to hook onto anything in range and swing around. The grapple is not only used for platforming, but can grab onto objects to move them, which is used during some of the puzzle sections. There are multiple worlds you traverse through, with each one adding in fun new mechanics in their environment. There are these spikes you have to avoid, moving platforms, and orbs that fly you to another area, for example. After each platforming section, there's a checkpoint, so dying doesn't set you back too far. You can also find secrets hidden around the world, so exploring is encouraged. If you're looking for a funny adventure game with excellent level design, then I recommend Peeb Adventures. Mallory in the Marble Sanctum is a platforming puzzle adventure game set in an ever-shifting labyrinth. You play as Mallory, who is this tiny mouse-like creature who wakes up in this altered dream world and has to find a way to escape. As you explore the labyrinth, you complete platforming challenges like jumping between moving platforms or timing jumps between disappearing platforms. The goal is to reach the light at the end of each section, which reveals backstory between you and another character. You're then placed at the start of the labyrinth and go off in another direction. There's also puzzles to solve like block puzzles or this maze door puzzle. The second chunk of the game involves Mallory in a cardboard box house talking to a cat about the mundanity of life and having the courage to brave the outside world. She has to find a way to escape her house to reach the exit. If you're looking for a puzzle platformer with dark themes and an atmospheric dream setting, then I recommend Mallory in the Marble Sanctum. Polly the Frog 1 and 2 are deceptively challenging 3D platformers where you play as a frog trying to reach the end of different levels. Both games play similarly with very basic controls. You can only move and jump and have no control over the camera's fixed viewpoint, which makes the game play like a 2.5D platformer. However, in Polly the Frog 2, you're able to kill certain enemies and charge up a crouch jump, allowing you to jump over high walls. The reason the games are challenging is because each level is fairly long and has no checkpoints. There's a good amount of level variety, especially in the first game, which keeps the game interesting even though the movement is basic. Polly the Frog 2 is more linear but makes more use of its 3D space and has more enemies and environmental elements. If you're looking for a simple but challenging 3D platformer, then I recommend both Polly the Frog 1 and 2. Eggspiration Day is a cute 3D platformer about finding eggs scattered around an island and getting them to safety before they get moldy. You play as this derpy looking bird who can jump and glide. There are over 20 eggs scattered around the island. Some of them just lay there and others are obtained through platforming challenges. The catch is that once you obtain an egg, you only have a limited amount of time to carry it back to a nest. I enjoyed how a lot of the platforming challenges require some thinking to solve, like climbing up a hill to reach another platform, for example. The bird's jump is really momentum based and lacks control in the air, but it doesn't really matter since the game is pretty short anyways. If you're looking for a 3D platformer that'll get you to think with a unique timer mechanic, then I recommend Eggspiration Date. Inch by Inch is a first-person platformer where you race against the clock to stop yourself from shrinking before you're too small. In order to save yourself, you have to gather different chemicals and make 3 key ingredients out of them that produce the antidote to save you. There are hints around the laboratory that tell you what chemicals you need. You then use the various lab machines to create new chemicals that are used to make the key ingredients. There's one machine that combines 2 chemicals together to make a new chemical, a microwave that takes forever but creates a new chemical, and a machine that requires a code to activate, which is found in a drawer or cabinet. If you get too small, you may have to move things around the lab to make platforms for yourself, making getting around increasingly difficult. If you're looking for a stressful puzzle platformer, then I recommend Inch by Inch. Rage Against the Cocoon is a game where you play as a caterpillar who doesn't want to become a butterfly. Naturally, the only way to stop your metamorphosis is to eat junk food scattered around the different tree levels. There's a metamorphosis meter that's constantly filling up, and every time you eat junk food, it gets reduced. If the meter fills up, you metamorphosize a little bit, which gives you an upgrade. One of these upgrades is butterfly wings that allows you to fly around the levels, making it much easier to collect food. In each level, you have to collect a certain amount of food before talking to Sheldon to get to the next level. Collecting the food is simple but fun, although controlling the caterpillar upside down can be pretty wonky. If you're looking for a cute wall climbing platformer about a determined caterpillar, then I recommend Rage Against the Cocoon. Those were the top 10 free 3D platformers on Itchio you didn't know about. I'll have my playlist of free Itchio games you don't know about linked in the description, as well as my video about free 3D platformers on Steam. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with this ongoing series.